So can I ask you then, because you both have this love of maths teaching now and you're clearly fabulous at it, and some people have seen you teaching maths obviously on the internet, and you both present CPL courses for us and you're so highly regarded. So you're wonderful maths teachers, you love maths, it's a great subject to teach. What's going on with this shortage that you were mentioning? Because it doesn't quite... what's going on? Why? Do you know, or do you have an idea of why?
I think I can jump in. I mean, there's many reasons.
Please do.
Many reasons. I'll start with one and then I'll hand it over to Dave. I think the most apparent reason is if I think back to when I was at school and any of my friends who had, serious mathematical chops and were skilled in that area and could therefore look at a profession where they might use that, they would go into engineering or finance and actuarial studies. Frankly, a place where they could make real money, not education. And so, those skills were and still are in high demand. And so I think it's just in some ways probably the 800-pound gorilla is that economics says where people are going to go. And so long as teaching remains in this country a relatively humble profession, I don't see that changing dramatically. But yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts too.
Yeah, maths has a bit of a bad image amongst students, amongst the community sometimes, some of the parents that we speak to as well. A lot of people question its relevance when you're teaching it to high school students. And I think that would change just a lot of people's perspectives. And as Eddie was saying, a lot of people would go into engineering or advanced science fields and things of that sort of things along those lines. And when I studied advanced maths at university, and there really wasn't, what else do you do with that degree? And so while I kind of had an open mind that I might do something different, it wasn't an education degree, it was a maths degree, and then I did the education after. So for the whole 3 years I was doing the maths degree, I sort of had in my mind, maybe I'll go in something else. I did do another job for a good month.
Stuck it out.
Yeah.
You lasted a whole month.
That train trip killed me. There wasn't enough podcasts in the world to keep me going. And it was before podcasts. But anyway, I went along to that for a little bit, but realistically I was always going to try out teaching, which is amazing because that's what I was saying before. What I thought a teacher was and what I thought good teaching was and good maths education and things was not what I think it is now. So for that to have been the idea the whole time is quite interesting. But yeah, I think a lot of people that would go into that level of study of maths, there may only be one purpose for you doing so, and I guess other subjects might not have that. You'd have people. I guess there are people who would go into other fields and then find their way into teaching. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's a very difficult one to answer why people don't. Because I mean, I don't know. I guess do you feel that in your teaching, like in that area in history and things?
I don't think in history
it's not like it is in maths.
A problem in the same way that it seems to be in mathematics. I think there's lots of keen history teachers out there and lots of really great young teachers coming through as well. So I wanted to ask you a bit about, I guess, youth and experience and age, and you said that your experience of teaching has and what you think is a good teacher has really changed over time. Can you tell me, I guess separate from being a maths teacher, what's great about being a teacher? Like, what are the things at school that are so fabulous?
That's a very good question. I'm going to go down the path of just saying that students straight away. Just the students and their I'm not going to say blank slate, but the canvas that we have to work with and what they can create, what they can become. The challenge is obviously a huge thing as well, because students of all ages and all sizes, so we're lifelong learners, adults out there everywhere are learning new things all the time. We see what we want to see sometimes, we hear what we want to hear sometimes. That can extend to things like feedback, the actual content that you're teaching, the way you're teaching it, the way you facilitate something, the way you design an activity. And that challenge of thinking of everything to make sure that you get the desired outcome you're after is a really engaging thing, I guess, for us to engage in our profession and what we're doing.
So it's hard intellectual work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
to make
Challenging
all of that
every day. I
happen.
can't imagine
Yeah.
a teacher would ever say that it wasn't, that it was ridiculously easy, which is a good thing in that where no matter how well we educate our students, we always want to do it better. So yeah.
What do you think?
I think what I'd add, I think Dave has nailed it in one. First, that students is absolutely like the relationship, the transformation you can see. Particularly, we're in high school. I think a similar kind of thing happens in primary, but at in a different way. And when you see a kid go from age 12 to age 18, that change is. It's no exaggeration to say that change is profound, and to a lot of children throughout that time will. This sounds crazy to say, but having come from, I just recently spent a week in Africa where education is not like it is in Australia, it's something that you expect to get, particularly not at secondary level. I think we often forget that from age 12 to age 18, many children go through this change, not just in their ability and knowledge, but in their self-concept. They realize they are capable of things that they thought were impossible, and we as teachers get to see that happen hundreds of times a year, over and over again, and it's new every time. And to be able to say, yes, I knew that, I saw that in you 5 years ago, and I've been working and laboring to cultivate that in you, but only you could grow into that kind of person, that kind of person who's going to have that that desire to make a difference in their community or use their skills to serve people in a place where they can make a real difference. That's amazing, definitely. I guess I'd add to that I know Dan Pink, he's this sort of psychologist and researcher, and he does a lot in human behavior, and he talks about why people enjoy work when they do enjoy it, and it's when they have work that gives them the ability to have autonomy, to gain mastery, and where there's a clear purpose. And teaching, for all of the the syllabus documents and the requirements that we have, teaching is an amazingly autonomous kind of profession. You have so much latitude to think creatively about what are you going to do in order to craft a learning experience for your students that is engaging and interesting, but also helps them question themselves and the world around them. You get to choose, and every time I've taught a course, I get to teach it differently and explore new ways of doing it. That's really exciting. So autonomy is a really enjoyable thing to have. But also that sense of mastery, I think everyone likes getting better at doing something, and we've been teaching for more than 10 years now, and over that time, and we're still doing this as lifelong learners, we've become better at understanding children and adults and working out how do you talk with people, question them, make them think, and we grow in that, and that's gratifying myself. It's a bit horrifying sometimes. I look back at videos of when I was teaching 5 years ago, because they're all there, and it's just as irritating listening to the sound of my voice, but it's also incredible to see how much I've changed as a teacher. And lastly, that purpose of we do this for a really clear reason. We serve these children, we affect our communities in a positive way. It's a great privilege.